Good evening, Sidney Football League members and team owners, and welcome to a special 15th anniversary playoff edition of the SFL Breakdown. That's right, 15 years in, and somehow we are still doing this. We've got two playoff matchups, both dripping with history, heartbreak, and just enough delusion to make Sunday miserable for half the league. Let's start at the top. White-hot newcomer Sean is making back-to-back playoff appearances in his first two seasons, which frankly feels illegal. Standing in his way is veteran Erin P, who's now in her 12th year and is still chasing her first medal. That drought is old enough to have its own learner's permit. Erin enters the matchup an 8-point home underdog. Without Daniel Jones, the question becomes simple. Can Jonathan Taylor, the literal namesake of JTTDs, run roughshod in Seattle and keep Erin alive? On the other side, can Sean's Detroit duo exact revenge on Jared Goff's former Rams in LA and push Billingham into round two? We'll find out on Sunday. Now let's flip to the other side of the bracket. The bitter butter battle backside of the bracket, if you will. The real chaos corner. Aaron Burpo versus Steve. Round one, no mercies, no mercy, no apologies. Steve's Allen Angels rode a wild late season heater on the broad shoulders of Josh Allen, stacking wins and crashing into 3 seed like a man who suddenly remembered how to set his lineup. Erin, in just her 3rd season, enters the reigning champion. She barely slipped into the playoffs by a nose, collapsing the pocket like Dexter Lawrence, shedding old brother Hubbard's 55-point pass block, and stealing a little sack of the 6th seed. She's projected to beat Steve by 5, but this matchup will live and die with the eruptability of new father-to-be Josh Allen, marching into New England with her season on his back. Waiting patiently, as always, lurking, waiting in the wings, is Eddie in his 12th playoff appearance, hoping for his 7th straight championship game, my goodness. And I'll be waiting for the winner of Sean and Erin P, having been and having become the first and the fastest to 100 wins, while somehow also carrying a 14-year title drought, like a curse I cannot get rid of. Speaking of little statistical records, let's give you some more. Because the SFL, let's talk numbers and pain, real pain. Eddie, he was the fastest to 75 wins. Joe was the fastest to 50. Justin was the fastest to 20,000 points scored, and his wife, Erin, was the fastest to 5,000 points scored. Pretty good. Sean, well, he was the fastest to 2,500 points scored because, of course, he was. Illegal. Al once endured a 12-year championship game drought before he won that title. Erin could break that record this season with a loss. However, Erin snapped the 5-year playoff drought by coming in at the 4th seed. Steve and Erin both survived 5 straight losing seasons. Steve once went 77 straight weeks without cracking the top half, without scoring the most points in a game out of the field. 77 consecutive weeks without scoring the most points. Justin's currently riding a 31-week streak without finishing in the top 3 in scoring. Mike and Al are tied for 11 straight weeks without cracking the top half of the league in scoring. Steve and Joe are tied for 4 consecutive winning seasons, the longest active run. Pretty good. Steve once finished top 3 in scoring for 9 straight weeks in that first season in 2011. Joe finished in the top half of scoring for 13 weeks between 2016 and 17. Steve and I are tied for the longest winning streak at 9 games. Steve in 2011, me in 2024. Sean, myself, and Steve are tied for the second in perfect games with 8. Steve had 4 perfect games in 2008 alone. Eddie holds the perfect games record with 10. Perfect games means you started all the right players. On the darker side, speaking of leaving points on the bench, Alfred has the most points ever left on the bench in league history, and Jeff is second. It's cumulative. Start your studs. You gotta start your studs, people. In 15 years, the most points ever scored by a single player was 80. It was the Bears defense in Week 9 of 2018. Nathan Peterman was picked off 3 times, 1 return for a touchdown, and there was a Bills fumble also returned for a touchdown, and Peterman personally donated the Bills season to Chicago. The most points by a positional player, well, that was another Bill. Josh Allen, Week 14 of 2024, I'm sorry. 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, 58 fantasy points. Crazy. Dude's nuts. 6 total touchdowns. Side note, Joe Mixon once dropped 51 on Carolina in 2022, 4 rushing touchdowns. The top 3 fantasy quarterbacks of all time, statistically for the season. You got 2024 Lamar Jackson, Eddie had him. 2020 Patrick Mahomes, Mike. And 2022 Jalen Hurts, also Mike. Top 3 running backs, 2024 Saquon Barkley, Erin Burpo. 2023 Christian McCaffrey, myself, and 2018 Todd Gurley, Justin Burpo. Top 3 fantasy wide receivers, 2023 Tyreek Hill, Justin as well. 2024 CeeDee Lamb, Joe Pascarella, and 2023 CeeDee Lamb, Justin. Tight ends, 2022 Travis Kelce, Joey. 2024 Brock Bowers, Jeff Lau, and 2018 Travis Kelce, Justin again. Mike has scored the most passing touchdowns all time. His quarterbacks have thrown the most passing touchdowns in the 15-year career. Drew Brees threw the most of any quarterback we've had in our league with 157 all time. Peyton Manning threw the most in a season with 41, and Drew Brees has the most in a game. He did it 4 times, 4 touchdowns in 3 different seasons. So he holds that record 3 times over, 3 different years, throwing 4 touchdowns in a game. Eddie has scored the most rushing touchdowns in the league over the course of 15 years. Derrick Henry has scored 54 all time. Jonathan Taylor ran the most in a season with 21. And Joe Mixon has the most in a game, 4 touchdowns in 5 different seasons. He scored 4 touchdowns in a game in 5 different seasons. So Eddie scored the most receiving touchdowns, plus 57 to the next guy. And we talked about that in the league chat. He just does it consistently over the course of time. Antonio Brown caught the most all time, 40. Jamar Chase caught the most in a season, 15. I'm wondering if these stats actually add up. We'll have to just trust the system. Travis Kelce caught the most in a game. He caught 4 touchdowns twice in 2013. Justin has scored the most defensive touchdowns, and the Chiefs, DST, scored 11 defensive touchdowns all time. Mike has scored the most field goals, and Steven Gostkowski kicked 110 field goals all time. And Greg Zuerlein once kicked 7 field goals, Week 4, 2017. There you go, some little nuggets. 15 years in, this league is still alive, still cruel, still hilarious, and still very, very personal. So that's it. That's all. Sidney Football League members and team owners, welcome to the playoffs. And as always, go Niners!